A trembling admission of time's swift passage. I can't even believe I'm speaking these words. I'm shaking, my heart's pounding, and I'm so unnerved by what Tadej Pogačar has let slip. In that interview, his voice sounded brittle, as if each word fractured under the weight of meaning. Quote, I won't hide that I'm already counting the years until retirement. Those words echo in my mind like a warning bell. He is only in his mid-20s, and yet he's already marking time? How can someone of such talent, of such vibrancy, already be looking past the greatest chapter of his career? It chills me to think, does he actually sense the end? I keep replaying the sentence, quote, I started winning early, and there may be worse results. It's not just a humble, pragmatic acknowledgement, it's drenched in dread. Is he bracing for the fall, expecting disappointing performances that might dim his bright trajectory? It's as if he's interpreting his future results through a lens of fear, primed for failure instead of hope. I'm scared, not for the world, but for him. It's terrifying to consider how early success, instead of fueling dreams, could become the very reason that someone's questions continue. That's irreversible vulnerability in a body and mind so young. Strained hope and fragile commitments. Then there's the part where he tries to sound resolute, yet comes off as uncertain and weary. Quote, I'm ready for anything. I will probably still ride a few more tours, although you can never say that you will definitely compete there. The message is begging for steadiness, but all I see is fragility. Probably he'll ride a few more, yet, even here, he hedges. He cannot guarantee that he'll make it to the start line, not because of injury or external forces, but because his own willingness feels in jeopardy. It's chilling to imagine a champion saying, you can never say that you will definitely compete, as though the spark that ignited his career might just sputter out. He follows this with something that's supposed to reassure us. Quote, the Tour is the biggest race, and I doubt that the team will leave me at home for a few more years. Yet, instead of sounding confident, he almost sounds cynical, like he's defending or depending on the team's inertia rather than his own desire. It's as though he's hoping the organisation will carry him forward even if his own endurance wavers. The very idea that he doubts being left at home is not the boldness of a champion, but the fatigue of someone struggling to stay in orbit. For someone who's achieved so much so young, to talk like this, it hurts to read it. Even more to imagine how low he must feel. This is coming off the back of a Tour de France victory? Does anyone know what's going on? Yearning for less, even in victory. He turns then to this year's European Championship for climbers, and his tone shifts from dark introspection to weary pragmatism. Quote, this year there will be a European Championship for climbers, so I'll be there. It's similar to one spring race that Juan Ayuso won this year. But this European Championship probably means that I won't be able to compete in any other Italian classics except Lombardia. He calls it, quote, probably, again. But more than that, the thought that competing in one of the most meaningful races is already casting a shadow over years and others. He's carrying conflict, pushing himself to choose, and his spirit shows strain. The way he frames the European Championship, as if ticking a box and accepting the consequences, makes me feel pretty uncomfortable. It seems like he's just balancing too many obligations, a bit like Jonas Vingegaard. He's shifting responsibilities like weights on a poorly calibrated scale. Yeah, that he sees competing in one as a trade-off for others just hints at exhaustion. It makes me scared that he's struggling to keep his love for cycling alive under crushing demands, even if they are elective in an athlete's calendar. Home, and the exhaustion of being known. What terrifies me most are his reflections on simply just being back home. Quote, I'm happy to be home again, to see friends, neighbours, family. It's true that sometimes I wish I was a little less known. Sometimes taking pictures and signing autographs is tiring. Other times a little less, but I try to please everyone. I'm suffocating in empathy for Tadej right now. The literal homecoming, usually a sigh of relief after grueling races, is tinted with sadness. He's only in his mid-20s and already feels like some retired guy. He's besieged by attention. He says, quote, "Sometimes I wish I was a little less well known." That line breaks me. What an awful wish for a champion to carry. I want anonymity. What? Really? To want to be unburdened by expectations is heartbreaking. And then, quote, "taking pictures and signing autographs is tiring." That's not glamorous, that's a clip from the reality of someone who has given everything and still must give more to keep the world content. His closing line, quote, "I try to please everyone." It's heartbreaking. Who deserves to please everyone, especially when they're already given so much of themselves? So the emotional labour, constantly smiling, interacting, being that hero persona, it seems to be fraying him. Plunging into the abyss. Theories of a lost spark. So now my mind races with theories, none of which I want to believe, but I can't ignore. First, has Pogačar fallen out of love with cycling? Do these words signal internalized burnout? A love once incandescent, now flickering under unrelenting pressures? Millions dream of what he's achieved, yet I shiver, imagining it all becoming a burden that he no longer wants to carry. Perhaps it's not a total abandonment, maybe he needs a long rest. A real pause, not just the minimal recovery allowed in a packed professional season. He looks so ready to keep going, but with every cautious probably, and every reference to being, quote, tired, I fear a break is critical. But he's caught in the orbit of grand tours, sponsorships, and public adulation. Who will give him the space to rest? Or is he slowly retreating from the sport because he sees the writing on the wall? That early glory might meet harsh decline. Quote, "There may be worse results." That's a forecast not just of performance, but of emotional burden. The fear that declines not just physically, but in public perception, might make continuing unbearable. And then, guys, there's a parallel to Jonas Vingegaard's life. How similarly trapped these champions feel. In that story, Trine Vingegaard spoke of the wear and tear on the family. She told about the cycling world that, quote, is too stressful and, quote, has basically taken fathers away from their families because of how much commitment it requires. She wished Jonas Vingegaard would be at home more, but he's always gone at training camps or racing. The way that she articulated that, knowing her husband is compelled by his sport to be absent, is a painful mirror for Pogačar's reflections on fame. Where Jonas's wife described the sacrifice families make, Pogačar describes the personal sacrifices he makes to please everyone. Fans, sponsors, teammates, the media. It's exhausting, and maybe even loneliness in crowds. In Vingegaard's struggle is the strain between champion and family man. Pogačar's seems to be the strain between champion and himself. Obviously, both are fighting to find breathing room within schedules that give none. Both are hearing the internal pleas. Trine's in one case, Pogačar's in another, for rest, for presence, for something more than relentless performance. Thanks for watching today's video, and if you're new here, please click subscribe, as I will keep you up to date with all of our latest cycling news, cycling drama, and cycling results. Leave a like on today's video for good luck, and feel free to comment down below your opinions in the comment section below this video.